it. I would first like to thank Dr. Abhishek Tandon for being a part of this. He had put up a very beautiful Instagram post where he had addressed to the youth in general, where he wanted them to take righteous measures and evaluate as to why people should be health professionals and why they should actually consider it not to be something that is a most important factor in their life. So we got to talking and we started thinking about how we can address to the students who are currently going to pursue this. And we thought there was no better place to start than Martiniere. Our goals for today are to motivate and help you make an informed decision. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking a lot about the positives and the negatives. Now, the thing is that the positives have always been highlighted. That is a very big factor into why people take the option of being a healthcare professional, why they want to be a doctor, they want to be a specialized dentist. So we're going to help you make an informed decision. We're going to throw a lot of light as to what the entire castle is about and what the moat around this whole empire is. We want you to understand that you're not only walking into a certain field, you're walking into an entire life where you will be responsible for people's health directly. So we want you to be ready, we want you to be informed, and also we want you to be happy with the decision that you've made. We want to be a hope to, to be a light tower for those at sea. Like, we don't want you to be lost. When I started off in this field, I did not have a couple of doctors walking into the room and talking to us. And I think it is so important that this happens. I think if had it not been for the pandemic, me and Abhishek would have been there personally and trying to hold an interactive session with students. And hopefully one day we'll be able to do that. But for now, we hope to guide the young students, young kids who are going to be very good professionals ahead. And even those who are confused as of right now as to which field they want to choose. Easing the stress of our students is most important. The statistics for a certain thing are not good thanks to our education system. I openly say that there's a need of a lot of changes to be done. I have been a part of a lot of these discussions, and I've done a lot of research into this, and these statistics, the factors are all a cause of concern. We're facing a very outdated system of education. And what I do feel is that our students need better people advising them. The teachers do an excellent job, but there has to be a very pragmatic approach towards how a student chooses their profession. You cannot expect a young 16, 17-year-old to make such a huge decision. There has to be a counseling session done as we're trying to do it today. And there have to be a lot more interactive sessions with professionals. And also we aim to build a culture of knowledge and not competition. Competition, personally speaking, I feel denudes the growth of a professional. When you start competing, when you start looking into the side lanes, you end up losing anyways. So we be trying to hope for an approach of knowledge rather than only being competitive. Competition at the end of the day is something that we try to bet on. Knowledge is something that stays on forever.
So we're going to begin from the very beginning. So after the enactment of the NMC Act in the September of 2019, NEET became the sole entrance exam for admissions to medical colleges, including AIIMS and JIPMER, which until recently conducted their own separate exam. And to break it down for you, there will be a total of 180 questions asked, 45 each from physics, chemistry, botany, and zoology. And each correct response is going to fetch you 4 marks. An incorrect response is going to deduct 1 mark from the grand total of 720. And the duration of the exam is going to be 3 hours. So NEET is the only entrance exam, and NEET is the only exam to as many as 83,075 MBBS, close to 27,000 BDS, 52,720 Ayush, and 525 Bachelor of Veterinary Sciences and Allied Health seats in as many as 542 and 313 medical and dental colleges, respectively.
So before we go on to that, something that I would like to say is address about the preparation time. We all know that I would say a doctor is groomed, a very thorough professional is groomed from a very early age, and we have to start addressing that seriously. Your studies from class 6th onwards are very important. The minute it splits into atoms and biology, you have to pay core attention to your basics. If your basics are not clear, it's gonna like cause a problem for you later on. But the core preparation time, our classes 11th and 12th. Now, when I say core over here, there has to be a stress on how and what kind of choices you make. So being there on time about your studies, being consistent, being steady, not overworking yourself, but being steady is very important. You have to focus on clearing your basic concepts and practice questions on a regular basis. Now, what most students do is that they get into the theoretical aspect and they ignore practicing questions. This is a time limited competitive exam. You have to time yourself. You have to practice questions. You have to study your theory and strike a balance into practicing questions. You have to understand that 11th and 12th are very crucial formative years also. It cannot only be about studying all the time. You have to take out personal time for yourself. I would recommend that you take up a sport where you just exert yourself physically for a good 1 or 2 hours. At the outset, I would like to explain that I don't want you to be a study bug. I don't want you to like be studying 24/7, but you have to take note that every day is crucial because there are students who will be preparing over the top for this exam, something that I did not understand. There are students who are giving a lot of years to prepare for these exams. So the best way to combat this is to be steady, be honest with your preparation, and put in as many as, I would say best prep hours rather than long hours. Don't study for 14 hours. Study for 3 hours, but make those 3 hours count. Clear your concepts. Try to understand what the book is trying to tell you, what your teachers are trying to explain to you. Do not be a mugger. It helps to mug in biology. I would definitely agree on that. But your core competitive subjects like physics and chemistry, if you clear your concepts, you're going to go a longer way. Also, one factor which I don't consider as to be, I would say, very crucial, and that is coaching institutes. At the end of the day, you have to understand that coaching institutes are just, a center where they are trying to run a business. Focus on what your preparation is, stay relevant, stay up to date, do your test series, and always aim for constant improvement. The more that your test results keep on improving, the better your chances are. And again, I cannot stress more on this. Please clear your concepts. That is something which is very important. Even if you're not able to memorize something, you can manage with that. But if you're able to clear a concept within a crucial subject, it's going to take you a lot of places. Also, the mindset, like I was telling you, you have to constantly evaluate yourself. You have to put in useful hours, sports, and worries that halt progress, and you have to smile and study. I've already dealt with this, but when I say mindset, there's also one thing that you have to take into this approach. Please don't compare yourself to others. Compare the test results, yes, but don't compare your strategies for preparation. What your kind of approach would not apply for the same student. So pace yourself, look into things, constantly evaluate yourself on your test results, but do remember this, that you are not what your friend's result is. You have to study for yourself. At the end of the day, the factor of competition has to be taken out for you to do well. It's always said that the person who eventually wins is the one who's only focusing about his own growth. It's not about the person who's trying to beat another one, because then they are limiting in themselves. And as there's a very famous coaching institute that says sky is the limit, I would say that everything is the limit for you. I think your limit is what you want to be. Be positive about your approach. Always consider yourself to take a time out, go off and spend time with your friends. Be happy. Don't overstress yourself. Don't push yourself to the periphery. And most importantly, make your parents your friends. We'll be talking about that as well. Abhishek?
So this slide is not to scare you all, but it's to help you understand the level of competition that you're going to subject yourselves to. So every year, the number of students that are appearing for NEET is increasing. And as recent as last year, there were 15,97,435 students who appeared for NEET. And the number of students that are slated to appear this year is only being speculated to increase, and if only to be constant. And to give you an idea of the number of seats that are there. So if you combine all the MBBS and the BDS seats that are there in all the government and the private medical colleges, you would see that there are a total of 1,05,106 seats. The number of students who are competing for these seats are 15,97,435. So you need to realize that there will be as many as 14,92,329 students who are not going to make it. The reason why we are giving you these statistics is going to be explained in the subsequent slides.
So as you just saw the numbers, this is where I have constantly been stressing throughout this this endeavor of ours, competitive and not being informed. When Abhishek was showing you those slides, please try to understand that we're trying to make you aware of what you're stepping into. An informed decision is much better than being competitive all the time. The thing is, when you're an 11th and 12th student, you're probably a good student. That's why you entered into the field of biology. I remember when I was in my biology classroom, I had very able classmates. But what they did not realize, and what even I didn't realize to some extent, is that we were looking into a very narrow approach. We weren't considering India as a whole. And when you look into India as a country, you have to take in so many factors. Like there is a certain degree, like when people abroad start off with such programs, they shadow a working professional before they make this decision. Shadowing is a concept that India is still not familiar with. This is something where you go to a professional and you try to do some sort of internship, say for a week or two. You look into what they're doing, what they are trying to be, and what their whole field is about. Say you want to be a surgeon, so you shadow a surgeon. They won't obviously take you into the operation theaters, but you'll get to see the whole work culture. Say you're shadowing someone like Abhishek, or you're shadowing, say, a dentist. You'll be able to see what this is all about. And then at the end of this, when you've read all about the seats or you've seen everything about it, you have to make that decision, whether you want to be happy or you just want to compete aimlessly. Please get over the whole fascination of competition. The problem is that a lot of people feed off this fear, the competitive fear, I call it. A lot of coaching institutes, they would just stress you. Oh, the competition is very tough. You have to join this program. You have to join this batch. Now there is an accelerated learning program. Now there is a Sunday batch that is going to come. Don't do that. What's most important is, at the end of the day, whether you're able to process what all you're taking in. If your mind is not working, if you're sacrificing your Sundays in a 7-week, you're going to be burnt out by the 3rd week. You're not going to be able to understand anything. And I know those physics books. I remember Nutan, and I consider some of my postgraduate subjects to be easier than the physics that I was studying back then. So I'll be very honest with you. I feel there is a lot of stress in classes 11th and 12th, something that I would say in a theoretical aspect, we don't even take in some of our courses. So you have to make yourself mentally happy, not just go into competing, not just doing questions and trying to put your mates down. Try and educate yourself, work towards education. Again, something that is thankfully it has started being addressed, but not on a sphere where I would like it to be. Take care of your physical and mental health first. You are students, you're young kids, and the pressure that is on you, I know it. Abhishek knows it. We've been there. There's a constant push coming from, not from your parents, I would say your relatives. They're constantly calling you and checking up on your marks. I hope that is still going on at your homes as well. So this whole environment of stress that is being created, something that I will tell you, I wouldn't call myself a very distinguished professional, but I have made a name for myself, not as good as Abhishek, but definitely somewhere. And I have realized that it's not about my degree. It's not about what I aim to be when I was a young kid. It's all about whether I've been able to do a good job at the end of the day, if I've been able to make my patient happy. So there is no exam that is going to define me. At the end of the day, it's going to count as the kind of human being that you are. So don't stress on whether you make it or you don't make it. You want to be a doctor, you try for it, you get it, very good. Many more hurdles to go on with. You don't get it, still okay. You can do something else. Believe in plan B, C, D, E, F until you get it right. This does not define you. This field does not define you. You wanted to be something, you give it your best. That is all that you can do at the end of the day. But if things don't go your way, I'm very certain something is definitely going to go. Just going to give you a quick example. There was a student of ours. He wasn't able to make it into the competition exams, and he eventually went on to clear the IS exams. And that's just how things work magically. Had he just gotten himself into another college, and he would have missed out on something really good in his life. So please take care of this. Please take care of your health. Make sure that you're into sports. Make sure that you're as diversified in your interest as Abhishek. And I was also part of a lot of cultural things. I'll be very honest with you. Both of us were very much into the cultural belt of things. We were into dramatics. Abhishek was a talented singer. We were into debating. All of this helps, but don't put your exam before your happiness. That's all that I would request. Abhishek?
So now I'm gonna take you through the scheme of events. You're gonna give your NEET UG exam. After the declaration of the results, an All India rank will be allotted to you, and a merit list would be released. And then the Medical Council of India is going to conduct the counseling for only 15% of the state seats, the central institutes, and the deemed universities. And the counseling for the remaining 85% of the state quota seats and the private colleges is going to be done by the medical boards of the respective states. So this is where something of a state quota comes into play. For example, if you have a domicile of Uttar Pradesh and you've done your 11th and 12th from Uttar Pradesh, so you have what is known as an Uttar Pradesh state quota. So you'll be eligible for approximately 100% of the seats in the states of Uttar Pradesh, but you'll only be eligible for the 15% of the seats in all the remaining states and union territories of the country, except for Jammu and Kashmir, which till now has its own separate sets of rules and conducts its counseling separately. One very other important thing is the cost of becoming a doctor. See, not everyone is fortunate enough to read in a government medical college. If you are lucky enough, you will be left with as little as 1,500 rupees annually. But you'll also have to take into account that even the best of the medical colleges in the country, which are not government, which are private, or which are deemed, you'll have to shed as much as 15 lakhs annually. So you'll have to look into your finances, you'll have to be prepared in that aspect, and then make an informed decision. Sit down with your parents and discuss your other options that are there. As Dr. Arvind rightly pointed out, you should always be having a plan B, C, D, E, F. There are 26 letters in the alphabet, utilize them all and make an informed decision. Don't just jump into it and then realize, oh, what have I done? Don't do that.
There are also a lot of other alternatives. As Abhishek was just pointing out, finances is something very important. There was a time where I wanted to do something else, but there was a government seat on offer, and my finances were aligned such as that I had to take a government seat. So, now I find myself at a better place. I find myself that I finished my degree. I don't have any financial strain, so I can go out and explore. So as Abhishek just said, please make a very informed decision based on your finances, because not everyone is going to be in the same weighing scale. As much as we like it, the fortune is going to favor some people, but based on what resources you have, based on what your options are, try to make the best possible move. That is very important, with something which people still don't approach. You just walk into it, you're looking at a certain year-long fee. So many of these students that I've seen, that they walk into a private medical college, and by the third or fourth year, they are under immense stress. The fees are high, but this is something which you can't go back to. So before you jump into something, please look into the fee structure. This is very important. Also, the other alternatives that we were talking about, that Abhishek just started off, there are a lot of foreign medical universities, but I would advise you against going towards the undergraduate process of it. I will take an example of the USMLE scheme of things. Now, if you, after class 12th, you go towards pursuing a university in the United States, you will have to do a 4 years of Bachelor's of Science program, where you'll have to start from the basic level. Then you'll have to give the tedious exam of MCAT, where you'll be participating on an international level, where you'll be faced against Chinese students. You'll be fighting off, and trust me, when I say Chinese students, they are on a very different level as compared to us. They really do overwork themselves. So you have to understand that I am not very much looking into the whole bachelor's of science program. There's an all other process as well where you do your MBBS from MBBS or your BDS from here. Then you give your USMLE exams and your DDS exams if you're in a dental surgery, and then you get through into it. Again, when I say the foreign seats, a lot of money is going to be needed for this. So you need to be financially very secure before you're entering into it. There are scholarships, but very few, and there are loan programs, but there is a lot of there are a lot of hurdles that you'll have to take forward into this. But at the same time, the rewards are going to be immense. So yes, so if you find yourself able, if you can work out the finances, definitely a foreign medical university. Also, as we were discussing earlier, you have to ask yourself whether you want to be a doctor or do you want to just pretend to be a doctor. If it is genuinely health that you're concerned about, there are programs of health policy. You can be into policy making, you can work at WHO, you can do Masters of Public Health, you can do so many other programs where you're actually contributing to the society and making good changes when it comes to your health facilities. Were a huge part. It's not only about a hospital, it's not only about doctors. There are nurses working, there are administrators working day and night. There are so many aspects into the health system which we don't address. There is medical journalism, something that is actively coming up in other countries as well. We've got health administration, which without whom a hospital cannot work, although they tend to interfere a lot with the normal working of a doctor, but they're also a very essential ingredient to a good health system. There's also health and technology where you can be an engineer. Now, this is a very fine example. There was a student, Arush Mohit Mittal, and he went on to IIT Kanpur, and he did biotechnology, and he did his master's and his doctorate from there. And today we're almost working on the same project. He's working towards making a mental health a data a facet, and he's trying to launch an app, and we're actually exchanging notes. So that is how you interconnect. That is how you correlate with health and technology. So it's not only just the white code. There are so many facets that you can approach. All you need to do is you need to be informed. Again, what I said, be informed, don't be competitive, because competitive is going to kill off a very good side to you, and that is where you learn from whatever is going around you.
Yeah, see, your career is one thing which is going to be stuck with you for the rest of your lives. So before blindly venturing out and picking something just because your friends are doing it or because your parents have said that you should do it, should not be the norm. You should sit down, make an informed decision. And it's really very important to have a happy plan B rather than have an unhappy plan A for the rest of your life. So this is something that we really want you to understand before we move forward.
Again, I feel this is the most important slide for my presentation. Parents are the best help. Now, what happens is people forget how grotesquely competitive these exams are. They will take your child down. I mean, I remember before going for an exam like AFMC or say the UPCPMT, this is a time when NEET wasn't even there. We had to go for separate exams on separate dates. We had to it was spread over a period of 3-4 months. It would take so much out of you. You are in a train, for Jipna, you have to go to Delhi, for St. John's, you've got to go to Bangalore. And it would take so much out of your child mentally that you won't even realize that they're actually just going into a shell of their own. So you have to be there constantly taking the stress of results away. Please do not focus on results. I know it's a very huge thing to say, but thankfully I was blessed with parents who were very happy that I was just sitting down with a book. Like they didn't have any kind of expectations from me, but that did a very positive effect on me. It always took away the stress of results away. So be their friend. Don't compare your kids. And also as much of positive reinforcement, as much as even if I say fool them, say that your result does not matter, even if it matters to you. You have to realize that your child is going to be there with you for the rest of your life. It's better to have a happy person in another field than have a sad doctor around you, a morose person around you. You're gonna feel the agony of your child if he's not happy, if he's burnt out. And I've seen that happen to a lot of kids, a lot of students who were brilliant, who were much better, but they have just gone off into a shell. They just sit and curse themselves. And you don't want that for your child. child. You need your child to be proactive in whatever decisions he's making, and the best thing to do would be to become their friend, analyze it, tell them that it's okay, there's a lot of stress, we don't want you to overburn yourself, do whatever you can, but at the end of the day we're going to be there for you. Please don't pressurize them into studying more. I know a lot of parents like to do this, padhai karo. We're not going to be there to, when things go down for him. So what you can do is you can just ask them to relax, take a day off, meet their friends, let them develop co-curricular habits, let them go out and meet their friends. Be aware of where they are. I'm not trying to say that let them off the hook. I mean, definitely don't do that, but be their friend mostly, and try not to stress them out, because these exams, I have been there personally, it actually takes a lot away from you. And if the result is good, it's definitely very good. But when sometimes it's not favorable, and it's not sometimes, it's mostly they are not favorable. There are a lot of things that you have to cope with. So you would want to be there for your child then. The fact that they want to do something like this at such a tender age should make you aware that this child really wants to do something for themselves. Abhishek, would you want to add something to that?
Yeah, one thing that I would really want to request all the parents watching this webinar today is that I understand it's a very competitive world and you want the best for your child, and that is the only reason you pursue or you pressurize him to do the best in life. You don't want him repeating the same mistakes where somewhere down the line you did. You want him to really be the best in whatever he decides. But while doing so, you don't realize that you put so much pressure on your child that somewhere down the line he just breaks down. He's scared that if he's not being able to perform in an exam in the way that you want him to, he'll be a disappointment to you, and that is something that should really not be there. The relationship between a parent and a child should be more of that of a friend rather than that of being of a strict guardian and a child who's scared of you. And having said that, it's again, as Dr. Arendra had put it, what is very important at a school level is not that your child excels in academics. It's that your child develops into a completely beautiful, good human being. And all-round development is what we are talking about and what we want to point out right now.
Well, for takeaway points, something that I would like to say is, since we are talking about this, since it is a counseling fair, personally, I'll make my stance very clear. I am not about competitions, but since you kids are going to be competing for these exams, my advice to you would be, and to anyone who's done well in these exams, would be to start now, be steady, and be a horse with blinders. Be steady with your approach. Put in your good work. Put in your 3-4 hours of what you can. It's not necessarily 3-4 hours. For some students, it might be 1 hour. For some, it might be 10 hours. But put in your work for the day. Be honest with your studies, and be a horse with blinders. It's very important. Do not worry about what your friend Siddharth is getting or what your friend Abhishek is getting. Focus on your study. Try to work on your weak points and sharpen yourself with questions. Your goal should be to finish off that paper in 180 minutes. Trust me, it's not easy, especially if you're doing physics over there. You have to do all those calculations. So try to time yourself and sharpen yourself. Be as devoted to yourself as you are to your goal. Now, when I say this, I'm talking about your physical health. You are going to be 17, 18. It is very important that you're into sports. If not sports, you're taking running or some kind of activity where the endorphins are kicking in. It's been scientifically proven that those things are going to help you. It's going to team sports help in your preparation. Be into sports, be into cultural activities. Try to give your body some time. Try to give yourself some mental happiness. That is going to take you 10 steps ahead from a student who is constantly putting themselves under stress. It's like a brake. The minute you get into stress, your vehicle is going to jam down. And a person who's going at their own pace, he's got no problems. He's not thinking much about it. He's going to pick up on topics straight away. So if you really want to be competitive, try to release stress. Something which people don't understand. It's a vicious cycle, and it's a fact. If you are going to put a lot of stress on yourself, your result is going to go down by a factor of 10. Also, by the end of this discussion, I just hope that you aim to be wise, ethical, and just be a kind professional in whichever field you end up being. And I know this is going to sound a very, very standoffish to some people. They'll be like, खुद तो बन गया, अब हमारे बच्चों को वो कर रहे हैं. But that's not our aim. If you want to be a doctor, I hope you're there. I hope I get to work with you. I hope I get to learn from you. I get to learn. I have such able colleagues, especially Abhishek. He's been so grateful in putting all of this together. And that is the kind of, the atmosphere you want to work in. So I hope I see you all as doctors. I hope I see you all as health professionals. But what I most importantly hope for from all of you is that you're happy, that you're very, very contributive to the society. You make yourselves a good name. And that is all that a human being can hope for. Something which I have always learned, in the end, it all works out. All plans eventually lead to a good place. If it's not good now, trust me, in a couple of years, it's going to be the best. And if it's really good right now, trust me, it's going to change. Things always change. So that is something that I would like you to take away from this. We want you to do your best, but we also want you to be happy. We want you to enjoy your lives. We don't want you to overstress yourself. And trust me, everything is going to work out. Whether you're a doctor, whether you're an administrator, whether you're going to be running your own business, you're going to be all right. And Abhishek, would you like to add something to that?
No, it's been beautifully summed up by Dr. Ranendra. And just to end it all, I would, at the onset, like to thank Mr. McFarland and Mr. Hitesh for giving us this opportunity to speak to the students of La Martiniere today. Both of us are alumni of La Martiniere, and it's been an honor and privilege to be here after a gap of, for me, it's been 10 years since I left school. I graduated in 2011. And coming back here and speaking to you has absolutely been an honor for me. And I really hope that with this, you have some takeaway points and you're able to make an informed decision.
Hello everyone. Are you interested in a healthcare career but not sure which path to take? If you want to fight diseases but do not want to diagnose a disease like a doctor, then become a pharmacist. See, it's all depend on your interest. If you have a quench for analysis, research, interest in playing with drug molecules, patient care, then pharmacy is the best option for you. Since inception, pharmacy has played a key role in healthcare services, and especially in today's time when the world is suffering because of this COVID-19 outbreak. A pharmacist has played a major role as a drug information expert and has proved to be an asset to the healthcare providers and patients. How effectively pharmacists embrace their role as a frontline care providers amid the pandemic was incredible. A pharmacy student is trained for drug discovery, development, pharma industries, clinical research, academia, with vast career option. Pharmacy students want to pursue a career where they can build relationship directly with the patients. Pharmacists provide patient-centric care. See, it is the doctor who prescribes the medicines, but it is the formulation scientist who actually prepares the medicine. How to know whether pharmacy is a perfect career choice for you? Chemistry and biology are the cornerstones of pharmacy. It's a good blend of technology and aptitude, which caters to the need of industry and academia. Now the big question, how to get enrolled for a degree in pharmacy? Pharmacy Council of India is a governing body for institutes offering courses in pharmacy, and syllabus prescribed by PCI is mandatory. The courses which are offered by pharmacy colleges: Diploma in Pharmacy, it's a 2-year course; B.Pharm, Bachelor in Pharmacy, a 4-year course. A diploma student can pursue B.Pharm directly by taking admission in the B.Pharm in second year, which we are calling it as a lateral entry. After completing B.Pharm, one can go for higher studies and do post-graduation in M.Pharm. Master in Pharmacy, it's a full-time 2-year course in which first year emphasizes research-oriented analytical techniques and the second year is based on research project. We have 4 major core areas, branches in pharmacy, that is pharmaceutical chemistry, pharmaceutics, pharmacology and pharmacognosy. A professional course in pharmacy with clinical orientation was started in August 2008 with the approval of Pharmacy Council of India, that is PharmD, Doctor of Pharmacy. This is a 6-year full-time course in which 5 years are based on clinical and community-based theory with ward round and 1 year of hospital internship. Entry at 4th year after doing B.Pharm is called as PharmD Postbaccalaureate, PharmD PB. Then PhD, doctorate degree in pharmaceutical sciences, and after completing PhD, postdoctorate degree. Now let's quickly talk about the eligibility criteria for these courses. For the first year in B.Pharm, 10+2 exam with English is one of the subject and physics, chemistry or maths or physics, chemistry and biology. Then B.Pharm lateral entry, D.Pharm from a PCI approved college can get a lateral entry in B.Pharm 3rd semester. For master's degree, B.Pharm approved by PCI college and has a score not less than 55% of the aggregate of 4 years. Eligibility criteria to join PharmD course, 10+2 exam with physics and chemistry as compulsory subject along with one of the following, that is mathematics or biology. See, some of the institutes, they conduct their own entrance exam at both levels UG and PG, which is followed by a personal interview. Some of the premier pharmacy institutions of India are Jamia Hamdard, New Delhi, Punjab University, National Institute of Pharmaceutical Education and Research, Institute of Chemical Technology, IIT BHU, Birla Institute of Technology and Sciences, Manipal College of Pharmaceutical Sciences, JSS College of Pharmacy and Amity University Uttar Pradesh Lucknow campus. With a degree in pharmacy, you have plethora of career opportunities. A pharmacist can apply for government jobs as a pharmacist in dispensary or hospital, can work as drug inspector whose major role is to ensure that the drug manufactured and sold meets the required standard, and also for the analysis as drug analyst. It's not only the compounding and dispensing of medicines, but it is associated with patient care, providing drug information and to study the safety, efficacy and risk involved in the drug. The pharmaceutical companies in India offer lucrative job opportunities in production, marketing, sales, research and development, quality assurance, quality control, technology transfer, project management, hospital and community pharmacy, academics, drug regulatory affairs, pharmacovigilance, intellectual property rights, medical writing, cosmetic industry, pharma advertising, adverse drug reporting, and Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission. Then a pharmacist can also opt for a career in clinical research. And at present, India is a most preferred hub for clinical trials. It is rightly said, I'm not a doctor, but I serve humankind to make sure that they are relieved from pain. Yes, I am a pharmacist. Major recruiters in this field are Aurobindo Pharma, Cadila Healthcare, Cipla, Dr. Reddy's, Glenmark, Pfizer, Novartis, GlaxoSmithKline, Merck, Sanofi, Mankind, Sun Pharma, Lupin, Intas, to name a few. With the pharmaceutical industry emerging big in terms of growth and sustainability at the global level, it is time for the country to prepare its future professional well. The scope and opportunities in this sector will continue to expand in the time to come, as a result of which, establishing a career in the pharma domain would place you in a favorable position. This means that attaining high standards of industry-centric pharma education from a reputed institution would definitely make this career feel much better and fruitful.
session is on healthcare, and our eminent experts for this session are Dr. Abhishek Tandon and Dr. Arunendra Vikram Singh.
Dr. Abhishek Tandon is currently pursuing his DM in Pulmonary, Critical Care and Sleep Medicine from All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Jodhpur. He is an MD in Respiratory Medicine. During his residency, he published various papers in reputed indexed national and international journals and was awarded the gold medal in the department for the year 2020.
Dr. Arunendra Vikram Singh is an alumnus of Martiniere College, Lucknow, and has done his bachelor's in dental surgery of Manipal College of Dental Surgery, where he spent 5 years with an active interest in student portfolio diversification. He has done his master's in community dentistry from HA Institute of Dental Science. He has worked in a number of primary healthcare centers, collecting health data and interacting with local authorities about the health needs of villages and townships, and actively participates in events for healthcare for all, and has presented papers in international conferences on topics of tobacco control and free healthcare, and hopes to motivate students to choose their careers based on their own choice and merits. On behalf of the boys of Martiniere College, it is our pleasure to interview both of you. Could you please share with us your journeys of becoming eminent doctors?
As far as I can remember, I don't think I was the brightest among the lot in my class. Definitely, there were people who were better than me, and I can vouch for that. But yeah, if there's one thing that I was sure of is that I was really focused on what I wanted to be. I was determined to achieve my goal, and I was not shy of working hard. And to all the students watching this today, so what you basically have to do is first, we'll have to give NEET, then join a UG college to pursue our MBBS. It's a 4.5 year long course. At the end of each year, we'll have to give an exam to move forward, and the same is for BDS. At the end of your MBBS, you'll again be standing at the same place where you were 4.5 years ago. This time you'll have to give a PG exam to enter an MD, MS or an MDS course. And it's again a 3-year-old long course. And here you don't have to give an exam at the end of each year. And you need to give an exam at the end of the final year. And then you'll complete your post-graduation. But sadly, this is not the end yet. With this era of super specialization where science is evolving at such a rapid pace that it's no longer okay to be a jack of all trades. You'll have to master one. Again, find yourself standing at the same place you found yourself 7.5 years ago. You'll again have to give a all India level exam in the form of a NEET SS to pursue your DM or MCH, something that I'm doing right now. So you have to keep in mind it's a long process. It's a tedious process, but if you're determined enough, if you're not shy of working hard, I think if I can make it, any one of you sitting there can.
After that beautiful intro, what I would like to say is I didn't utilize those 2 years of 11th and 12th very appropriately. So what happened for students like me, that's what we want to do in this process. There are students of all categories that have to be addressed, and that is what happened for me. I had to take a drop here. And then I got, both of us gave that exam of Manipal. Abhishek scored 179, I scored 171, and I respectively got my college of Manipal College. It was a very good college for me at that time, and I had gotten myself a free ship. But again, it was a very foreign field for me, and I had, I'll be very honest with you, I had never even shadowed or been to a dentist before I entered this field. So it was a process of learning for me. I went about it. I thought maybe BDS it's going to be good enough for me. But like Abhishek said rightfully, that this is an evolving field. The kind of investment, the kind of portfolios that you have to build in this field are diverse. Like you have to be up to date every second. So after BDS, I had to give an all India entrance exam, get myself a government seat. And that also took some time. And then I got myself into a master's program. I just finished off with this, and now I'm going to be applying for a better degree. I'll probably be going abroad and venturing off. So the one thing that I've learned in my journey of pursuing healthcare, I would say for students who are going to be joining this, you have to have immense focus. You have to be on the job 24/7. Once that 9th, 10th phase gets over, you're in it, or you are actually asking for a lot of tediousness along this way. But that is what we're here to do. That is what our aim here today is, to just guide those kids who are confused and guide those who are very focused right now. And because none of us, I think Abhishek would agree with me on this, now none of us had this interaction. When we stepped on my first OMR sheet that I filled was in the All India pre-medical test, and that was a whole new experience. So let's hope that we can help some students today.
Sir, my next question to you is that students who are still in their middle school but aspire to be the crème de la crème of healthcare, what are some of the things that they should be working on right now?
Students of middle school are students in the classes of 6th and 8th. So my message to them would be to not worry so much, to live their school life, to enjoy their time while they are there. Absolutely, middle school is the time when science is being first introduced to them in the form of physics, chemistry, and biology. And it's very important for them to get their basics correct, because that is going to be the foundation of what they're going to achieve in classes 11th and 12th. But having said that, personally, in my experience, I've never seen an individual who's just a bookworm, who's just focused on his academics, excel in life. Maybe I've not met a lot of people, but in my experience, I've never ever seen a person like that. And it should never be that way. I would really encourage them to either pursue their hobby. If they don't have one, I would really encourage them to develop a hobby. For me personally, I developed the love for public speaking in middle school, and it's really helped me go a long way. Now, when I stand in front of an audience of thousands of people delivering a lecture or a seminar, I don't shy away. I don't feel scared. I don't scatter. My thoughts, they are focused, they are processed. And that is something that I learned in Martiniere during my middle school. And I would really request all the parents watching this today, don't be strict on your children. Don't scold them if they want to pursue some extracurricular sports or literary or cultural events. Yes, reading is really important. Academic is really important, but not at the cost of the all-round development of your child. So if there's one thing that I really want to tell anyone of middle school watching this today, is that yes, go ahead, get your basics right, but just don't confine yourself to academics.
Thank you so much, sir, for your response. Sir, as experience tells us that not everyone has the same aptitude, IQ, skills, etc. And not everybody who aspires to clear competitive exams like NEET will clear it. Subsequently, not everyone with physics, chemistry, and biology combination will become a top surgeon or a physician. Are there other opportunities in healthcare for such students? If yes, could you please state a few?
Like I was explaining, that there are all kinds of students. Like Abhishek summed it up in his last question very well, that there's just not one kind of student all around. There has to be a different approach to everyone. So what I feel today in the education system is we are just following the age-old approach of where you have to compete, and get into that whole rut of things. Nobody is addressing issues specific to one specific student. And I know it takes a lot of time to give individual attention to one. And that is where it is all about a student's approach to his study that has to come in. Since it is a very competitive field, we have to understand that you cannot approach this problem by running in a side race. When you want a goal, when you want to achieve something, you have to put blinders onto yourself. You have to be that horse. You cannot look at your partner. Say, for example, I start competing with Abhishek. Now, Abhishek is a very dedicated person. He's very focused when it comes to his work. He doesn't meander anywhere, but I have a more fun of approach. I like to go about my work on my own time, on my own deadlines. And if I start trying to compete with Abhishek, what I'll end up with being is a complete nothing. I won't even understand what I have tried, and I'll just sum it off and end up being on the losing end of things. So my advice would be, yes, you've taken physics, chemistry, biology. Yes, you have applied yourself to this field. Now you have to ask yourself, what is your goal? Why do you want to be a doctor? It wouldn't be surprising to a lot of people, and Abhishek would agree with me on this. Half the time, people who enter colleges, I'm talking people who have gotten selected in the exam, they don't know what their calling in being a doctor is. They just enter the field. For most kids, they want to impress their parents, and I have no shame in admitting that I was one of them. But it was only later on when I applied myself, when I asked myself, what is my calling? What do I really want to do as a health professional? I realized that I enjoy dealing with patients. I realized that I enjoy giving out free facilities, working in camps. So as I progressed into this field, I chose myself to be a community dentist. I started working in villages. I started working at the grassroots level. And that is where I found my calling. That is where I find my happiness. So it's not only about being a top surgeon or a top pulmonologist like Abhishek. It's all about what you want to do, what is specific to you, what your needs are, what your caliber is all about. I personally feel that all students are geniuses. The thing is, whose confidence has not been denuded by the constant slaggering of this competitive word, something which I hate. Asking one student to compete against one, although in critical evaluation, you would say that competing is a form of, it is a competition exam. But when you put that pressure of you have to compete for this, you have to compete for this, you are actually eroding the substance of a singular student. There will be a student who will have a very good approach to theoretical exams. There will be a student who will have a very good approach to answering multiple choice questions. You club them together, you're going to get a whole of nothing. So we need to focus individually on students. And I feel parents and students have to come together on the same page and address this. So when you say not everyone is going to be a top surgeon, well, there are many other kind of things that you can do. You can go into hospital administration. You can take public health policy. You can enter into, technical facilities where you devise new gadgets for the operating surgeons. You have to understand what your calling is. Do you want to be a doctor, or do you want to pretend to be a doctor? Do you want to really give something to healthcare, or do you really, are you just doing it for the namesake? And that is what I feel is the correct answer to this question.
So the COVID times have placed the doctors on equal footing with warriors. And we know that many doctors have unfortunately lost their lives selflessly trying to save the lives of their patients. The medical profession was always one of the toughest in the world, but now the stakes are even higher than before. What is your take on that?
So at the onset, I would really like to state this fact that it was not just COVID that had the healthcare workers infected, and sadly some of them have even lost their lives. But even in the pre-COVID era, there were numerous instances which never came to light. For example, an ID specialist would develop tuberculosis, an oncologist would develop cancer, a psychiatrist would have a nervous breakdown. A study even stated that a doctor's average lifespan is 5 years less than that of the population he's living in. So having said that, I don't think that there's any profession which comes without its own baggage. Even in medicine, we have our own baggage. But I guess that is just the part and parcel of the profession. And we being healthcare professions have accepted that during the course of our journey, there'll be certain times where we'll be infected with the disease that we are treating. But I don't think anyone would want to shy away from his duties just because of that. Having said that, see, one of you guys watching this webinar today is gonna grow up and become a doctor. And you have to realize that, like any other human being, even you are flawed. You're not perfect. You're bound to make mistakes. It's very important to realize that you will have to accept those mistakes. It's very important to realize that despite all your efforts, you'll not be able to sometimes save patients. And once you do that, you'll realize the beauty of medicine. See, there's no other job in this world which is as rewarding as medicine. There's no other job in this world where after a day's work, you can come back and say, yes, today I saved a life. So that's the beauty of it. But yes, it comes with its own baggage, and this current pandemic has highlighted that in a big way. So to all of you watching this today, keep this in mind before you decide to become a doctor, before you pursue the field of medicine, that yes, this will be a big package. There'll be incidences where surgeons will get a prick of a positive patient they'll have to take a post-exposure prophylaxis for HIV or hepatitis B. So you'll have to be careful, you'll have to be determined, you'll have to be really willing to pursue medicine in order to do that. Dr. Arunendra, would you want to add something?
You said it all, but I also want to say this because Abhishek has been working as an intensivist during all this time, and he said it very rightly that, you know, it's not only since now that doctors have been at risk, you know, even if you're seeing a patient and they probably have HIV, the kind of precautions that have to go into looking into that patient, providing him special care and attention. There is a whole culture where you don't even address the disease. You know, we don't go up to a patient, we start addressing HIV. There's a whole culture. We call it a retroviral disease. Being a doctor, because I realized it on the job, being a doctor is a lot about responsibility. Trust me, I have never met a doctor who wants the tag of warrior. I have never met. Nobody wants that tag. It's actually annoying to most doctors that when you call them, oh, you are warriors. And that culture is not to be instilled in the current generation. This the sad part is that this was a pandemic and we were not ready, but we tried our level best, all of us, or within the community. And doctors, yes, they put themselves at risk, but we already knew what we were signing on for. You know, we already knew, and we don't take this as something that, oh, they were definitely one of the great people who went out there and done the right thing. But what annoys us is that now that kind of attention, just because when the whole community was at risk, now that kind of attention has started to come in. One mere fact which Abhishek, one of his very beautiful Instagram posts, if any of you can see it, is where he has labeled it that now that you know, people are at a risk of it, they are paying attention to the needs of a doctor. But initially there were no special needs. There's still, it's an everyday thing. You see doctors being treated badly, people attacking them. So the young student who's seeing a class 8th or 9th student, they have to realize what you're signing on for is something not about a warrior. It's not about the stethoscope. It's not about the white lab coat. It's about your aim to heal a person. And that is all there is. And as he said, there will be days when you won't be able to do that, but that is the beauty of medicine. You get back again, you do your job. Please don't join this field to be a warrior. Don't join it to be a flashy. Don't go into the Grey's Anatomy aspect of it, but go into the aspect that you'll be working in a village where there won't be light, where there won't be tap water, and you'll probably have to stand for 12 hours and work non-stop. So that is a very demanding field, and Abhishek put it very well over there.
Just one more thing. I don't think any one of us wanted a diya or a tali or a thali. Exactly. All we ever wanted was for the society to realize that like them, we are also humans. Like them, we are also facing this disease for the first time. We are also learning about the pandemic for the first time. And in this era, I would really like to thank the media for highlighting the needs of the doctors, the difficulties that we are facing. But yeah, as you've put it, you should not at all enter this field thinking that we've been giving the status of a warrior and we are so much in the media and it's a job which will keep you in the limelight. Trust me, it's not. So just don't go for this image that has been created temporarily. It's a bubble, it will burst, and you should really come into medicine only if you're passionate about it, not just because you want to be a warrior.
Thank you so much, sir, for your answer. So what is your advice to the students who wish to create a career in healthcare? And what is your message to their parents?
First of all, you need to understand what you're entering into. This is a field which will take away 10 years right off from your life. You're giving 10 years away. That is an understood thing, and it might end up being more as this field progresses, because this field changes rapidly. Every 5 years, there's a new progressive thing that is going to happen, and you have to keep yourself up to date. So when you're entering this, forget 10 years of your life. For 10 years, you're going to be surrounded with books. Yes, there will be time to develop yourself with culturals, with other activities, with research. But then it's always going to be about your profession. For 10 years, you probably won't get enough time to meet your families. You will miss out on a lot of functions. You will miss out on a lot of things, which is something which people don't realize. I've seen a lot of my friends who stepped into this field, and they're like, why did we enter this field? We can't even meet our family members. We miss all the functions, but that is what it demands, and that is what people don't plan for. So when you say that there's a student who's going to enter into this field, the first thing I'm going to ask for is sacrifice things on a way, not on a monk manner, but definitely in a manner where you cannot crib about a lot of things, because if you crib, it increases your stress. The next thing is you have to study with the approach of not memorizing, which I think the best example is Abhishek. I've never seen Abhishek study. I've heard legends about the way this man studies. Some of them that I can't even share, but he's always had a very methodical approach to his studying. He's always been all about understanding, and that is why he is the able professional that he is today. So when you're becoming a doctor, you're not studying to get good marks. Obviously, that is an incentive, but you're actually starting to heal a patient. So a student who's in class 8th and 9th, and they're definitely good at memorizing, this is the time when you memorize and get through. Please try to get rid of that approach. Try to convert to your basics. Forget about the marking system. Forget about the grading system for a second. Clear your basics. Focus on subjects like biology, chemistry. Focus on physics in a more practical approach. It will help you later on in your competitive exams. And coming to from students, I don't expect more, because they're very young. They are 15, 14, and asking them to make a very projectile jump into this field, it's demanding. So something that can anchor a student is our parents. For parents, there's a huge duty. You have to provide emotional support. You have to provide all kinds of strength to your child. You have to make sure that they are happy. So it gets very difficult for you there. So the one thing that I'm going to ask you is that please don't compare your child to another child. Don't do that. It doesn't help them. It doesn't help you. You're just going to end up creating a lot of unnecessary stress. Sit down with your kid, ask them whether they really want to be a part of this profession. Half of them would say it just to make you happy. That happens. You have to analyze them. You have to tell them that these are the requirements. Are you ready to do this? You have to ask yourself, are you sure that you want to be a part of this? Don't push them into it just because it makes you happy. It's a very difficult call that I'm making over here, but it's sad, but a lot of people want their children to be doctor because they say it and it sounds really good. Please don't keep that. Make sure that your child is entering into this field because he's passionate about it. Make sure that when he's studying, and this is especially for the class 11th and 12th students, the stress is huge. I'm sure most of the class 11th and 12th students have joined all these coaching centers and all these test series. Plus they've got schoolwork, plus they would want to participate in a lot of competitions. And they just forget to enjoy 2 years, which are very crucial for their personality development. I have seen kids who have entered colleges and they have known nothing but books. And what happens is that they implode. They completely split into differential and they tip over. There is a massive burnout and they cannot keep up with the coursework. So they have to pace themselves. Yes, they have to give competition exams, but any competitive exam is not worthy of giving away to your happiness. You have to make sure that that kid is actually pacing themselves. They actually are looking after themselves. Their sleep has to be monitored. They have to take part in sports. There are so many other things because these years are going to define you as a person. Yes, your college is going to build you into a professional, but if you mess up around your 16s and your 17s and your 18s, you will definitely lose out on your confidence. You can lose out on your people skills. You need to give that child sufficient time in all sectors. Don't push them. Don't be aggressive with your approach when it comes to their results. They're already taking a lot of load. I cannot even imagine what it must be now because I never used to work hard. I'll be very honest with you. I never used to go to coaching centers. And that's what makes a lot of difference. But I saw a lot of my friends who turned out to be complete burnouts. Like there was a time where they couldn't just not prepare. And that is where I had an edge. I looked after myself for my own selfish benefits, but it ended up helping me later on. So that is what I will be asking parents, that be there as friends. Don't be there to only push them. You can help them get better results by just easing off the pressure knob, just easing it off. Like, it's all right. At the end of the day, it's a competitive exam. It's not important to be a doctor. It's important to be a good human being, as someone who contributes positively to the society. And that is what everyone's goal should be. Having said that, I'm not trying to demotivate people over here. I want you all, if you want to be a doctor, I want you to give it your all. I would ask you to make a sacrifice, which is, I hate calling for it, but your 11th and 12th, you have to give it to your competitive exam. If you want to be a government doctor like Abhishek, you definitely need to take these 2 years of 11th and 12th seriously. You need to distribute it well, and you have to make a call. There will be a certain amount of things that you'll have to let go. I would highly advise against it, but that is the price of a government seat now in India. Anything you would like to add, Abhishek, to that?
Yeah, while we are at this, there is two things I would really want to say to everyone who's watching this today. First of all, if you're a student of medicine, you don't just have to give in 10 years of your life. That is the bare minimum.
Yes,
you are a student for life. See,
exactly.
The treatment protocol that are there today for a particular disease may be obsolete tomorrow. So you'll have to keep reading every day. You'll have to keep reinventing every day. Number one. Number two is that, as Dr. Arvind rightly said, 11th and 12th are the most formative years of your life. And absolutely, if you really want to be a doctor, you're really passionate about medicine, you'll have to take it seriously. You'll have to read, but not at the cost of your all-round development, not at the cost of your school. You'll have to make sure that while you're out there, you live your life, you enjoy, you take that time off. Because otherwise, you'll just be a monotonous, dull child who knows nothing else but academics, and I don't think that will get you anywhere.
And as he just said that the monotony will set in. We have seen cases, and this is something me and Abhishek, before we started this thing, we wanted to address. The monotony will set in. Your child will go into a dull state, and if anything, the recent statistics are helping us in this. So please primarily focus on your child being happy about the choices he makes. There will be bad days, there will be good days when it comes to result, but at the end of the day, you have to make sure that your child is in a state of happiness. They aren't only focusing about academics. The aim is to be a good person, not only a professional.
Thank you so much, sir. On behalf of the Martiniere College, Lucknow, sirs, we extend our heartiest gratitude to you both for sparing your valuable time to speak with the boys of our college and their parents. We are sure that your inspiring journeys and your words of wisdom would have left an everlasting impact on our audience. Vive la Martiniere.
Thank you.
Thank you.